Carthage, 275 BC. Everything was fine in Carthage. The sun was shining, flowers were blooming. What a wonderful place! Carthage was a major commercial and maritime power that dominated the western Mediterranean. Money was going to the treasury and the city was growing richer. But then, Rome began to expand its borders, capturing almost the entire south of the Italian peninsula. So what? Anyway, the place is wonderful here. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. What's going on in the Mediterranean? The empire of Alexander the Great collapsed. The cities of Magna Graecia were quarrelling among themselves. Trading was expanding in the region. Main trade routes passed through Carthaginian possessions, and the city received income from this source. Very good income. And here Romans thought, it's not going well. We work here, we fight, and they get income. I want this too, you know. Rome began its expansion. Where to go, north or south? It's cold in the north, and there are Gauls. To the south. Rome conquered the main part of the Italian peninsula. Two powers, Rome and Carthage, dominated the western Mediterranean by that time. Relations between Rome and Carthage were friendly. Carthage helped Rome during the Punic War, provided material to the Romans, and on at least one occasion used its navy to ferry a Roman force. In sum, they were like friends. Sicily was in the middle of all trade routes. Its western part belonged to Carthage, and Greek cities were located in the east, where Syracuse was the main power. Carthage could not capture Syracuse, although it tried to do so many times. Surrender immediately. Nah. This is the end of the Italian peninsula. What are we to do? Sicily is there, the island of our friend. If you control Sicily, you control the entire Mediterranean. Carthage ruled in Sicily. Syracuse still wasn't captured by Carthaginians. What was Rome to do? They wanted to expand the boundaries and make more money. But, you know, it's not good to attack a friend. We need a reason. And then the following happened. Syracuse king, Agathocles, died. Mamertines were his mercenaries. They were driven out of the city. But they were military men. They gathered and captured part of the island. Syracuse flipped out over them and decided to expel them. Syracuse defeated the Mamertines. They retreated to Messina city, where they settled. But Syracuse wanted to destroy them. The guys wondered what to do. We need help. They split into two camps. One asked Carthage for help, and another, Rome. The Senate of Rome accepted the Mamertines as allies. According to the laws of Rome, they became part of the Roman state, and Romans had to protect them. But then Carthage was indignant. Rome, are we friends? Yeah? We agreed that you can't have possessions in Sicily, while we have none in Italy, remember? Yeah, but what about the Mamertines? They're so defenceless. We have to help them. This is not for the sake of expansion. We could not refuse to help them. This was the reason for the war. You said the Mamertines need help. Okay, we'll help. Carthage took control of Messina. The Roman fleet was also on its way to Messina. Despite the Carthaginian naval advantage, the Romans crossed the strait. 2 legions marched to Messina, where the Mamertines had expelled the Carthaginian garrison. The Romans gained a foothold on Sicily at Messina. Carthage flipped out and declared war on Rome. Both sent their armies to Sicily. The war began. There the Romans succeeded. After 6 months of siege, they took Agrigentum. It was a major city of Carthaginians in Sicily. Carthage, possessing a large navy, began to attack and devastate port towns in Italy. Well, let's talk about armies. Rome had an experienced army that had gone through wars, but its navy was very small, since wars were fought on land. Carthage, on the other hand, had a much smaller army, but the navy was large and effective. One big difference was that Rome used citizen soldiers, while Carthage used mercenaries. The Romans couldn't fight without a large navy. The Romans built 120 warships using a shipwrecked Carthaginian one as a blueprint for their own, and dispatched them to Sicily. But the first battle was unsuccessful. The Carthaginians captured 16 ships. They equipped their ships with the Raven. This was a long plank with a spike for hooking onto enemy ships. Using it as a boarding bridge, Marines were able to board an enemy ship, transforming sea combat into a version of land combat, where the Roman legionaries had the upper hand. A new battle. The Carthaginians anticipated victory, and closed rapidly with the Romans. The first 30 Carthaginian ships were grappled by the Raven and successfully boarded by the Romans. The Romans successfully countered and captured a further 20 Carthaginian vessels. The surviving Carthaginians broke off the action, and being faster than the Romans were able to escape. Rome became a maritime power. Rome was strengthening its navy. The moment came when the Romans decided to invade the Carthaginian heartland in North Africa. Well, no sooner said than done. But somehow Carthage nosed out Rome's plan and dispatched its navy to intercept them. With a combined total of about 680 warships, carrying up to 290,000 crew and marines, the battle was possibly the largest naval battle in history by the number of combatants involved. The Carthaginians were decisively defeated, losing 30 ships sunk and 64 captured, to Roman losses of 24 ships sunk. After the victory, the Roman army landed in Africa and began ravaging the Carthaginian countryside. The Romans thought victory was near, and most of the Roman ships returned to Sicily, leaving 15,000 infantry, 500 cavalry and 40 ships to continue the war in Africa. Carthage tried to fight back, but were defeated. Many towns were captured by the Romans. In despair, the Carthaginians sued for peace, but Rome offered such harsh terms. You must give away everything you own and disappear. No. The Carthaginians decided to fight on. The Battle of Tunis took place. They inflicted a crushing defeat on Rome's army. Rome was building new ships. Upon learning of the defeat of their army, the Romans equipped 350 ships, but a storm sank most of them. Then Rome again equipped 220 ships, but again a storm sank them. Rome equipped the fleet for the third time, but again a storm destroyed 150 ships. Although there were rumours that Rome attributed defeats against Carthage to storms. Carthage sank 350 of our ships. Storm. Of course, a storm sank 350 of our ships. The war was continuing in Sicily. After more than 20 years of war, both states were financially and demographically exhausted. Soon, Rome began to build a fleet of 200 ships. The Carthaginians raised a larger fleet, which they intended to use to run supplies into Sicily. It was intercepted by the Roman fleet, and in the hard-fought battle the Romans defeated the Carthaginian fleet. As always at the most unexpected moment, Carthage ran out of money to conduct the war. There was no money for mercenaries. The Carthaginian Senate was reluctant to allocate the resources necessary to have another fleet built and manned. Instead, it ordered to negotiate a peace treaty with the Romans. As a result, Carthage lost Sicily and paid a huge indemnity. But mostly everything remained the same. Carthage's losses weren't great. It still controlled trade routes and made money. What a wonderful place.